everyone, welcome back to Market Mama's channel. My name is Kendra and I'm here with Becky, and we are day traders from the West Coast. I'm in Northern California and Becky's in Oregon. We started day trading about 3.5 years ago. We met at our very first trading educational course and became trading partners, accountability partners. So around a year ago, we decided that we would start a podcast and build a community to support other developing day traders like ourselves. And we're super excited this week to be back with a new trader interview. And we're going to welcome Brian to the show. We're excited to learn about your journey and have you share your experience with all of our viewers. So thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Yeah, thank you, ladies, for having me. I'm excited to be here, and I've been following you guys since I started my trading Instagram. So it's awesome how this kind of just came together. So thank you for having me.
Thanks. Yeah, we love talking to other traders because it's like our special language that we are in love with is talking trading, and not everyone gets it, especially in our personal lives when we're coming at trading from like just normal life. So let's get started, Brian. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you got into trading, when you started, how you came to find trading, and did you know anyone that personally traded? Because I know Kendra and I, we didn't, and so it was like a whole new world. And so I'm curious, how did you get into it?
Yeah, so I actually started in crypto, and I got burned pretty bad with crypto. I didn't know anything about it, right? I just followed the Wall Street bets and the apes and all those degenerates. So I started with crypto. I dumped a bunch of money into it, and then I bought essentially at the top. Yeah, and then sold at the bottom, right? So typical beginner that doesn't know what they're doing story, especially in crypto. And then I had a buddy. I actually didn't know anybody that traded. I didn't even know anything about day trading or what it really was. I thought, having a 401k was it, and I was good to go. But once I had a buddy in Texas who was a day trader, a beginning day trader, and I told him how I was trading all day long with crypto and like just scalping and like in and out every 2 minutes, but I was doing it all day. He's like, dude, you got to stop that. Like, you're going to blow your account. And I was like, well, that's happened already. So, so he's actually the one that introduced me to day trading and options specifically. That's what I trade still. Shout out to my boy CJ in Texas. But yeah, I'm forever grateful for him because it just led me down this rabbit hole of just opportunity and potential. So I've always had that entrepreneurial mindset. But once I had a couple of businesses, unsuccessful ones, I realized that the issue was that I don't like managing people, like at all. Like I just don't like it. I was in the military, so I have that tough love kind of leadership. And most people nowadays are just, you can't do that, right? You get sued for little things nowadays. So I decided that this was perfect for me. Like I can make as much money as I want or as I can, get myself trained up to. But I don't have to manage anybody. So I can make business-like income without having employees. So that's really what got me into trading and really what appealed to me the most.
Yeah, I love that perspective. And I totally agree with you. I love that there's no politics in trading. I mean, we're just an account. I mean, you don't know if we're male or female. You don't know what ethnicity we are, like anything. And it's really great. And so that's awesome that you found this opportunity and that you knew someone who could kind of guide you. And, you had that example. So that's super awesome. And then I want to know more about how it was when you were getting educated and building your edge. So you did mention you trade options.
No, for sure. And as far as what I did to kind of learn from literally zero to where I'm at now, I always tell my wife, it's like, I'm not the smartest, I'm not the most capable, but I know one thing. I know how to show up and how to put myself in the right place at the right time with the right people. So that's exactly what I did. I just started investing myself into the community. Every YouTube video I can find, which is good, but can also be bad if you go, if you start following people that really don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? So I just kind of dove in. I've been in pretty much every Discord out there for options, right? I've been in I don't know how familiar you guys are with all of them, but like the Stock Market Wolves, the Team Bull, all those other ones, right? So I've Stock Dads. I've joined every single one of them. One thing I also found out about joining Discords, not discredited them at all, because obviously they work. There's a bunch of successful people that are trading within them. But for me, following signals and things like that just is not the right move for me, right? So I tend to pick and choose the trades that these other traders kind of call out. And usually when you pick a trade, that's the one that they lose on. And all of a sudden you're like, well, this guy doesn't know what the heck he's talking about, right? I keep losing every time I trade. But reality is, if you're going to follow along, you got to take every single trade they take to get those numbers the way that they're getting them, right? You can't pick and choose. So I just tend to jump on that bandwagon of I'm just going to follow signals when I'm in these. So I did get a lot of value though from Discords in the form of all their training courses and documents and things that they have within their Discords. Just live trading for me never worked when I was following them along live trading. And then the last thing is I did a seminar. One of my favorite traders, which I learned most from, he was doing a free military and veterans and law enforcement training in Riverside, California. So I packed up my bags, overnight trip, just drove to Riverside for the night and came back. And that really, I mean, that's really the three big things that I did to get to where I'm at right now as far as what I know in trading.
That's awesome. I also first started trading from crypto because there was all that hullabaloo about it in 2021. It's like, oh my God, you just throw money at it and it multiplies like crazy. And so that's how I got started. And then, it peaked and then it started coming down and I had no idea what the hell that meant. And so it just wrote down.
And then everyone says diamond hands, baby, diamond hands, don't sell. And it's like, how long do I have to diamond hands? Like,
I sold a little bit and I dabbled and I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to let it ride and consider that money a loss and see what happens with crypto. So I'm still holding some of those very initial trades from 2021. That's rough. Funny. And then also, thank you for your service to our country because being military and a veteran, that's a big deal. And my husband is a Marine and, that's a really important for our country. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I love what you said about you know how to show up, because I think that that's a quality that is not always represented enough. And I think that that's why Kendra and I are still here too, is that dogged persistence, that like resilience of like, I'm not perfect and I screwed up that day, but like, I know enough to know that I can get better and I can learn from that loss. And like, it's like soldiering through. My mentor says warrior or soldier to describe often some of us traders that just are like relentless with whether we're winning or we're losing, we're still choosing to learn and show up every day and like continue. And I do think that that's what separates the people who, call it quits when it gets hard and those that persevere and keep their eye on the target and take the hits and get back up again. So I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I guess, when it comes down to showing up, like I've literally have been up at market open every day, unless there's an emergency or I'm out of town or something, for the last 2+ years, every single day, whether I'm trading or not, I'm there watching the markets. And I think that aside from anything else that you do is getting to know the instrument you're trading, and how it acts, the moves it makes, when it reacts, how far it goes, how far it retraces, just all that you're not going to get from a book. You're not going to get from a Discord or anything. It's just spending time watching those charts.
So, and you have to learn what the moves mean, when she moves and how she moves and what that indicates and what it looks like to have a support hold. Not just because Joe on so-and-so Discord said, support is holding, so I'm going to go long. That's not, you need to like really see it and understand it day after day after day, and then you get it. So I love that about your Instagram. I peeked at it. And you say like following just alerts from other people without understanding is how you lose money. But like spending the time to really understand it, that's how you can actually cultivate a sustainable process.
Yeah, yeah. It's like that old saying is you want to teach them to fish, not just feed them, right? So
Absolutely.
that's definitely true in trading.
Okay, so
I
you
think
learned
there,
enough. So then what made you decide to go public on Instagram then with your like putting your trades out there? Because
Yeah, that's an interesting one because I actually tried it a year ago, and the same reason I stopped doing it a year ago is why I started doing it this time. And what I mean by that is the first time I did it, I wasn't ready for it. I think you have to be ready for it because what I found that I was doing is I didn't want to take losses live on camera, right? So I kept holding and hoping that it wasn't a loss, right? And the first time I was doing it, I actually wasn't even recording live like I do now. I was doing more of like a recap. So, I'm not doing it live in person. So people don't really know exactly when I'm entering or coming, taking profits or whatever. I can kind of finagle it however I want it. So it just felt like I was being fake. It was affecting my trading because of that reason. Like, hey, I'm in a drawdown. I can't sell here and just take a loss, right? Like I gotta make sure, I gotta hope this comes back. And I was just taking dumb losses for the sake of content. So fast forward a year, I said I had to stop that. I had to work on my psychology because that's really what it boils down to, right? The process and everything you learn as far as technical analysis and all that is great, but without the right psychology, it's just never going to work. So that's what I really took serious on my second year. And after year two, exactly a couple months ago, June of 20, so this June 21st was my 2 year mark exactly. I decided I was ready. I was like, okay, so I got my risk correct. I got everything. I've been doing everything good for a good amount of time. So I think it's time. But I said I was going to do it live this time, like live recordings. So that's been helping. So it's actually improved my trading doing it live because now I'm not like, I can't take this loss. Now it's the opposite. Now I'm like, I got to cut this loss quick so people can start to trust me and knowing that I'm actually following a plan and my risk management. So, ever since I started, I was doing pretty good up until I started trading, doing my Instagram page. But I feel like it's actually been even better after starting my Instagram page a few months ago. So that's my biggest reason. Second biggest reason, of course, as anybody would say, you got to have multiple streams of income. And if I ever want trading to be my full-time job, I got to have other streams of income, which social media can be one. Maybe one day starting my own Discord, things like that, right? So I just kind of want to start building for the future. Those are the biggest reasons why I started my Instagram. And this is actually, I took a page from my last business, which was coffee. I was selling coffee online. But I let go of that business, and this page was actually my coffee page. So I already had an audience built. So I just switched it all. I erased every post and everything. So that's why my engagement is kind of low right now, because all my followers are from coffee, right? So people were like, whoa, this is a day trader now, not selling coffee anymore. So kind of working that and trying to bridge that gap.
one of our slogans for our merch is coffee in context.
Oh, nice.
Because you clearly have to, have your coffee and get your morning context. So,
Oh, yeah.
um, that was so good. Everything you shared. I mean, my hat's off to you for the accountability and the transparency part about posting your trades and, going live again on Instagram. I love how you reframe that. And it's like you worked your weakness. Like first time around, it was eating at you. It was, having you, not have the habits and the system that you wanted to be successful. And then you spun it around and now it worked in your favor. And I mean, Becky and I have talked before about how hard it is. I mean, because we don't share our live trades, but we talk about what happened, our experiences. And even that is like, it's difficult, man, like being that like vulnerable. And, so the fact that you're doing it day in, day out, and I love it now. Like when I watch your content, I'm like, how did Brian do today? I like corresponding with you because I'm like, dang, like I relate to like whatever you experience. Like I've either had something similar or it's so nice when you have that realness within, this arena, and Becky and I call it people in your locker room, because like she mentioned earlier, no one really understands what we go through on a psychology,
Yeah.
every day, trying to maintain our discipline, our systems, our risk management, and wanting to, perform, like outperform how we performed, the last time. So that's awesome. And I love that you're also, not afraid to just be seen. Because it's been a challenge for us to find other traders who, I call them, like, they're kind of trading in the closet, for various reasons, like either other professions or family, like, they just haven't really came out like, I'm a day trader, because it's really misunderstood. So
Yeah.
I was so happy to, find you just being so open with your trading. And I was like, for sure, you got to come on the show. So
Yeah.
also, I just want to know about what's been your greatest challenge, like, so far, your biggest psychological hurdle to manage, and like, have you went through a period that you would consider like your lowest low? Because we like to really try to lay it all out for our viewers to paint that picture of the dark days.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to happen, right, to everybody. So I want to say, I mean, if I had to pinpoint what my biggest like letdown and kind of disappointment was blowing my second account, because I went into it like I was so confident after I refilled my account that second time after blowing the first one. And once I blew that second account, I was like, man, like, is this really like working? Am I ever going to make this work? Right. So that's been the biggest struggle. Also, is I guess you can say it's been my biggest struggle, but also my biggest asset when it comes down to making it work is my competitiveness nature and my ego, which can be a bad thing, but that's what kept me going also, right? Like, and that's what caused me to have my biggest losses is my ego, and not being able to accept those losses as they go against you, right? But that's also what's kept me going. It is my ego and being competitive. I grew up in sports. I was in the military, right? And I mean, not just men, but women have big egos too. And I'm sure you guys have been through that as well. But that's a tough one to find a balance where you can use your ego to help you and not hurt you. Because I believe ego is necessary. Just controlled ego is what we need in this industry. But yeah, that's been really my biggest hurdle, is making my ego work for me, not against me. And specifically when it comes down to the nuts and bolts of trading has been risk management. Because when a trade goes against me, or it used to, even now, I mean, it's still a battle in my head, right? I just now I kind of I draw that line. I'm like, yeah, I'm not falling for that again, ego, right? So I'm gonna cut this right here. I got my max loss is always 20%. So and that's where I cut it off. And back then, I used to say that was my cutoff, but once it hit 20, I'm like, I'd give it a little more room, right? And then it's at 30 and 40, and you're like, well, at this point, just let it go. See what happens. Yeah. Walk away. So let's come back at the end of the day and see where we're at.
No, it's like,
Yeah. At this point,
We've all
one
been there.
phrase. Yeah, and it's gonna happen. If anybody's listening that's brand new, it's gonna happen. It's gonna help you build that character in the market. One phrase, I don't remember exactly where I heard it, but one thing that has really helped me out is a phrase I heard now that says, "Do you want to pay to see what happens?" Right. So when it hits whatever your max stop is, and let's say there's a level right above that, 20, 30, 50 cents, and you think it might reject or bounce, right? You got to ask yourself, do I want to pay this much to see if it's going to come back my direction? But at that point, it's like, now what's the next level you're going to want to pay to see, right? So I always think about that when I'm thinking about taking my stop loss off or not cutting my losers. I'm always, do you want to pay? And if the answer is yes, sometimes it is yes, right? You're that confident, and it's like, all right, I'm willing to sacrifice an extra $20 per contract or $10 per contract to see if this is really going to reject or bounce here where I think it is. So it's been a big help for me, is just constantly thinking that you got to pay a price to see if it happens. Just like in poker, right? Or blackjack. It's like, you don't ever have to show your hand if you win, or you have to pay to see someone's hand. So you're kind of paying the market to see their hand, see what it's going to do next.
That's such a good phrase because it's so true. Like, I literally today, I accepted probably twice the risk that I normally do, but I was very confident in the trade. So it was like, I want this level to hold, and that's where my limit entry was to get in the trade. And I got in, and then it went to the lower level down. And I'm like, okay. So I did put my stop below the second lower down. And I was like, I have to honor this,
You accepted that risk.
Yes, but it was generally double what I would like to have risk. But in that situation, I think that comes with trader maturity, where you're like, you're exactly right. Like, there's one level that ideally it will just hold at and go straight to your target, right? Mm-hmm. But there's multiple levels below that could act as support. So you do have to, like, each trade kind of stand alone and then figure out your risk. And I do love that you talk about how you just have to cut the trade and like honor your risk management, because that is sustainability, and that is learned over time and through hardship. And those days where you're like, were you the moment you like move your stop, it's like, it's all starts to gray at that point.
Downhill from there.
Yeah. You said not falling for this again. I mean, you only get that type of wisdom by going down that rabbit hole.
For it plenty of times.
All the calluses from the burns.
Oh yeah. Yes. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. And one thing that I kind of want to throw in there is, for me, when I first started, I was 1000% a strategy hopper. So I was going from strategy to strategy, and the minute one didn't work out, 2 losses in a row or something, I'd be like, yeah, this isn't working. Let's see what else this person's doing. And that's why I went from Discord to Discord also, right? Because I thought the next person was going to be better than last. But really what it boiled down to is I had to pick one strategy and just go all in on that strategy. And my biggest thing in the military, there's a phrase called KISS. So KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So I literally live by that motto. Like, I need simple. And really the strategy that fit that for me was the 15-minute opening range break. And I used to do my levels, which, again, there's nothing wrong with doing your own levels and all that. But for me, it was leaving too much to chance whether I was right in my levels. So what I do now, I only mark out 5 levels plus the 15-minute opening ranges. And those levels aren't levels that I pick. It's what the market tells me. So I do last day close, last day high, last day low, and then pre-market high, pre-market low, and then the 2 15-minute opening range. And that's it. I don't choose my levels. I don't look for the best areas. If there's a major obvious area of support resistance, I'll mark it out, right? Because that's just obvious. Like, I don't have to.
But generally that will have been supported by one of those levels anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So those are all reactive areas, whether you choose those or not. The market chooses those for you. So I was like, I don't always trust myself, but I can trust the market when it tells me these 7 things, right? So that's all I use is those 7 levels, really.
I love that you say that, because I think that's my biggest issue with all of my early losses in my first year, was that I wanted to be a day trader, and then I had some hard losses with that. And so then I tried swing trading, and then I had some early success and then some losses. And so then I got into options, and I had early success and then some losses. And finally, I switched mentors and found someone who really saw the market in a way that I could understand better. And then I stuck with that person and drilled in and like learned everything that I could, and still learned from him. And it's like, that has been the game changer, is finding what speaks to me and what works with the way that I see the market, and then just drilling in and staying with it and understanding why it did certain things each day, and asking questions and making notes on the answers. And I think that really honing your edge, it doesn't have to be the same for everybody, but as long as it works with your brain and the patterns that you see, then you can put your risk management with your system. That's how you get success. But you can hop around a little bit, but then you have to, I don't think that will be as successful until you actually really figure out what works for you, like your strategy that you're rocking right now.
Yeah. At first, you're going to have to hop around because you don't know what you don't know, right? So you got to find the strategy first, but you don't want to get stuck in that trial and error for too long. which is kind of what I was doing for the first year and a half. Yeah, just throwing away money, right? So, but yeah, that trial and era of your trading career is inevitable. You're gonna go through it. It's just how long is it going to take you to get out of that and then just pick that strategy and go all in on that? Because most strategies work over time, right? So just which one you're comfortable with.
We did an episode. I love how you talked about keeping it simple, because we did an episode about that, about how we can overcomplicate trading so much, and it comes back to keeping it simple and sticking it out. I love how you have the sign and behind you, it's stick to the plan.
I had to do it. Yeah, it's
like,
that's my motto.
It goes back to what you were bringing up in the beginning of the discussion about that persistency, about showing up. And it's like, you have to commit to, okay, once you have, dug around and found, built yourself an edge, and now you have to stick to that. Now you like ride it out like day after day. And of course, like, you're going to have varied results, but there's no other way to build that consistency and that pool of probabilities to eventually work in your favor if you can't commit and just, keep sticking to your plan and trusting your process. So that's like really solid advice.
Yeah. Plus, I think that's the only way you can actually really refine your process and get to better results, is sticking to one and then finding its weak spots and then fine tuning those and just working on getting 1% better each day, instead of like just fucking around and quitting on a whole system and starting fresh green again. Like, that'll take you forever. You stick to a plan and then you refine it over time. That's key.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, do you have in your personal life any habits or routines that you have developed to help strengthen you and keep you in the game, help keep your mental health strong and stable for the perseverance required?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe, I'm a strong believer that that discipline comes from everything you do, not just in the markets, right? So you have to be a disciplined person. And that's something I've been working at in my career, right? It doesn't, I've been in sales for like 12 years. So that's still what I do. And I'm really successful with that, which, kind of side note, does not translate to the markets. You can be super successful in your day job and be a complete mess in the markets, which I was. But salary, and it's a very, I've been doing it for 12 years and it's so easy for me, my job that I actually do. So my discipline was kind of lacking because I didn't have to be somewhere at a specific time or wake up at a specific time. I can kind of get up whenever I wanted to. And that all had to change when I decided to get serious with trading. I had to be disciplined in my personal life. So I have a morning routine, right? I wake up, read my Bible, exercise, all that good stuff, right? That the stuff that gets you prepared. You can't just roll out of bed and straight into the markets, right? That never works out. But I try to keep it simple. Again, simplicity is the name of the game in my book. So just keep it simple. I do read my rules out loud every single day before the market opens. I have to remind myself. I have to keep reading that right there every single day as I'm trading multiple times. Like, it's, people think that once you get trading, you just get it, but it's definitely not. Like, it's a constant battle. Even you're just learning how to actually listen to your rules while you're trading, right? So, but yeah, I mean, just a simple morning routine. I wake up about an hour before the market opens, do some cardio, read my Bible, drink my coffee, go through and mark out my levels from the pre-market, and then just relax and wait for the market to open. I don't ever, if I've ever rushed to get into, to pull up my computer, my charts and everything, I just don't take a trade. I won't trade that day, or I just watch that day. Cause if you start off on the wrong side of things, it can definitely lead you to do some bad things while you're trading, for sure.
Right. We have talked about that full body scan many times, and been fallen for that before. So
yeah.
Thanks for sharing how that personal awareness, right? And that doing the things that serve you and support you the most, and just being consistent. I definitely relate to that. And we definitely need to prime ourselves, before we enter and participate, because we're doing it's challenging your emotions every day. And literally risky business, what we do. So, what advice, I mean, that's super solid advice. So you might have already answered this question for us, but is there anything in addition you would, additional advice you would give any new traders or someone who's considering maybe learning to trade? What's your best advice you could give them?
It's honestly, it boils down to making sure you accept the fact that you're going to lose money. Like there's no way around it. And what I know, this is a term that gets thrown around a lot, but my buddy when I first started losing money, my friend CJ that got me into it, he said, look at it like market tuition. Like, if you were to go to school to become anything really, but a doctor or whatever, you're going to pay that tuition for 2, 4, 8, 10 years. Right. And if you're expecting to make doctor level income or business owner level income, it's not going to come for free. Right. There's going to be a price for you to learn that skill. The good thing about this is that if you really do it right, you can do that, make that kind of income a lot sooner than it would take to become a doctor or a lawyer or whatever it may be, right? But yeah, I mean, accept the fact that you're going to lose money, because you're going to lose money. I would say never start trading with a big amount of money. In my opinion, for brand new, if I had to do it all over again, I knew nothing, I would start with $1,000. And that's really because if you can trade 1 or 2 contracts, that you can trade bigger contracts. But if you start off trading huge and you blow an account in 2 days, a week, or even a month, like that's gonna shoot you down, and you're not gonna want to keep going, right? But if you lose $50, $100, like, okay, it's a paper cut, right? So I would say mitigate your risk by not having more than $1,000, maybe $2,000 in your account, and just start off small, right? Don't compare yourself, because that'll definitely hurt you in the long run as well, which it did hurt me. I have a big ego, and watching these guys, a lot of them, and women that are younger than me, I'm like, how are they making $10,000 a day, right? I'm older, I'm wiser, whatever. Like, and I can't do it. So everyone's got their own journey. Everyone's got their own story, right? We got to accept it and be grateful for every single day that it takes us to get to where we want to be, because it's our story and nobody else's. And the last thing about the actual technicals is, I would say don't get stuck in paper trading either, or demo trading. Anybody that asks me, I always say demo trading is great to learn the system you're using, right? Just to know what buttons to click and how to set up your screens and things like that. But that can vary. It can definitely hurt you a lot if you have that huge confidence boost from trading paper money, right? You're like, oh, I got this, right? 2 weeks into it, I've made $50,000 in fake money. Yeah. But you're also, investing
100 contracts.
Yeah, exactly. $10,000, $20,000 at a time, because it's not your money, right? But it's unrealistic, right? And the minute you put your own money in there, the heart starts beating fast, palms start getting sweaty. It's a whole different ball game. So don't get stuck in the demo trading for sure. You definitely want to use real money as soon as you can, but a small amount of real money for sure.
Brian dropping gems.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's I love this journey. Like it's such a hard journey, and it just slaps your ego around so much, as someone that's, again, competitive in the military. Like, I'm a man, like it's just, the market will humble you so much. But that has kept me hungry to conquer this huge mountain and this skill, because it's really, we have to fall in love with the process, right? Because if you don't fall in love with the process and you're just trying to make money, you're never going to make money.
Yep. I love that you're speaking on all this, because I know sometimes our big energy, I know people think we're crazy, like we get the haters, the trolls on our shorts, and it's like, you get it, like, this makes us a little crazy, but that's okay. Like, we're enough to believe it.
You have to be a little crazy to be a trader.
You have to think unreasonable thoughts to get unreasonable results. Like, if we were doing the shit everyone else is doing, then we're never gonna, So yeah, I think, thank you for keeping it real with us, and especially when you talked about the comparison too, because it does burn sometimes, when if you get into that, comparing yourself, and it's hard not to do that when you're first starting out and even your first couple of years, just because, you're surrounded by others, but what you said about it's just your own journey, and you have to be thankful, and you have to love your own, space that you take up in it. So awesome.
Yeah, that's what they say a lot of the times. The big income earners outside of trading are the ones that lose the most in trading, because they can't accept the fact that someone is doing better than them, or that they can't make it work when they're so good at what they're doing outside of trading, right? So that ego will get you.
Oh my God. And what you said, like, ego really is a double-edged sword, because you have to have an ego to think that you can be a 7-figure day trader. You just have to, because that is the type of confidence that not everyone can channel. And so you won't even try if you don't have it behind you to think that you can do it. But when you're in a trade and you're like, no, I'm right. Like, go to my target because I'm winning today. That ego kicks your ass.
Yeah.
So, total double-edged sword.
Acting like the market has emotions, right?
Yeah,
like,
right?
Like, listen to me. I know more than you do.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. I feel like you really have similar energy to us. And that comparison, like Kendra and I really just have channeled it in a way that we just want to like feel the love off of people that are winning and support people that are working through their own journey. And it kind of has been a really good growth for us to really be in this position of like, we are in our own trading journeys when we're at our charts in the morning when market opens, and we are executing per how we see the market. But it's nice to start getting people around you that you can celebrate the wins of, and then help people, bring people up with you, because really we are just one account, and the market doesn't give a crap who we are, but like there's money for all of us. So like, why not like surround yourself with people that love the process and the journey, and like want everyone to succeed, because that's such a better place to approach it from. Like, gratitude to be in the space and to know people who understand it and speak this language, because a lot of people do think we're crazy. Like, all of my nurse friends and mom friends are like, you what? So thank you, Brian, for being here with us today, because I feel like you really added great quality to our channel, and we really appreciate this conversation.
Yeah, thank you, ladies, for having me, and I look forward to continue building this relationship and this new wave of traders. We might be the next one, so let's make it happen.
So everyone can follow you and watch your awesome return.
So my Instagram is BG Trades, which is b.g.trades.
Yep. Yeah, I look him up. His content is really good. I love that it's so real, of like, you really do show your trades, and like, feel like that I stopped, but that was a good trade because. So that's solid content, and we're kind of dabbling in that a little bit, but we really like the psychology conversation, because we feel like there's not enough of that out there. But you have that on your channel as well, which I really appreciate. You had one the other day. It was restart, reset, refocus as many times as it takes, and I was like, oh yeah, he's our guy.
Totally.
Not too many times, right? Just not too many. At some point, you gotta get it. Yeah.
Thank you again for coming on. We really appreciate you. Hopefully we can have a part 2 and chat some more. I know we could talk about trading all day, so we'll definitely have you back. And our best trading days are ahead. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and we'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Take care. Bye.